I want to thank you all for joining us this evening on this beautiful evening in Ottawa. It is so wonderful to see all of you. I know I, for one, am very tired of watching myself on the screen, so I really do appreciate you taking the time for another virtual activity, as many of you are working virtually all day. So very much appreciate it. So before we get started, we thought we would have a little, they call it a hype video, to show you from the 1920 season. So I'll turn it over to our technical folks to show you the hype video.
Millions of Reckoning, 18 on the ball game.
Estadio Conte, the Conte forward, set up, absolutely stunning night.
Great guard! What a play! John Wayne turns his right, looking for first down here.
So I hope you enjoyed that 1920 season look back. It certainly touches me and makes me sad to not to see sport this fall, and so I hope you enjoyed that. I thought what I would do is take you, give you an outline on our journey back from where we left off on March 8th, immediately following the hosting of the Youth Sport Men's and Women's Basketball Championship. I'll provide you an overview of the department. We're going to hear from two of our student athletes, who I'll introduce you in a little bit. We'll hear from one of our great grads. He sent us a message to share with you. And then we'll save the questions for the end, if you don't mind. You can ask questions in the chat, or you can ask, and Kim or Jenna will let you come in and we can ask the questions. So we'll do that at the end. So what I thought I would do is go back to March. It was the first time in our history that we, in the youth sport, that we hosted the Final 8 men's and women's basketball at the same time in the same venue. It was an incredible team accomplishment. We worked with the University of Ottawa and OSAG to deliver that event. Many hours with many volunteers. And it was an incredible men's final, as you saw in the highlight. Our men captured their 15th championship. It was a tough game against Dalhousie Tigers, and our women had a great showing. They faced Saskatchewan in the first game. They lost to the eventual champions, and then went on to the consolation final. But at that time, we were hearing the news from out west about something bearing down, and I've got somebody trying to get into this room. So it was incredible that we heard from out west that something was coming, and you could feel it, but we were so busy hosting that event that we really didn't pay much attention. But on the Monday of March 9th, I called Clint Hamilton. He's the director of athletics at UVic. And I wanted to talk to him about the announcement of Danny Sinclair, who's, as you know, joined us as our head coach for our women's basketball team. And Clint at that time said to me, Jen, it's unbelievable, he said. I can't even talk to you about that right now. Everything's shutting down. We're dealing with the pandemic. And he said it's one of the most stressful times in his career. And I thought, wow, they're really having it tough out west. And by Friday, I'm in the president's office, and we were discussing canceling our March break camps, which were sold out, all of our fitness and recreation programs. And the president, I was a little upset at the time because no one else had canceled anything, but the president, our president, Dr. Benoit Antoine Becon, he's a scientist, and so he had this foresight about what was coming. So we did cancel everything that Friday, and by Monday, everything was closed down. We had shut everything down that Sunday night, and that was March, and here we are 6 months later. Still working from home for the most part. I'm here at the office now, and many businesses struggling for survival. The sport and recreation industry, and in particular amateur sport, has taken a beating along with many other service industries. We have watched how difficult and challenging it's been for professional sport to come back, and particularly in NCAA, which is big business. But in Ontario with university sport, it's been very challenging. Our Ontario Directors of Athletics, we've been meeting weekly since the pandemic began, and talk to each other about how we're opening up, how we're dealing with student ancillary fees, how we're returning to train. So we're sharing ideas, we're talking about how can we bring sport back, can we have sport in the winter term? So that is going on. As an ancillary service and the initial shock of closing, and I thought it was going to be for 2 weeks, by the way. Anyway, after we lost a lot of big events. We lost the Canadian Volleyball Championship. We were supposed to host that in May. There was Faculty of Engineering. We were hosting a huge robotics competition in our field house and gym, and that was canceled on that weekend. And we lost exams, convocation, and East-West Bowl for football. We were supposed to host that in May. So many large activities that we lost over the spring and summer. So as a staff in athletics, we were lamenting and not sure what to do, but we have sessions that we call Creative Solutions. And Creative Solutions is when we come together as a group to brainstorm on issues for the department. And we do this monthly, actually. And so we had a virtual brainstorming session, Creative Solutions, to come up with things that we could do to keep us relevant in the Carleton and Ottawa community. From that brainstorming session, we launched an e-sport intramural tournaments. And for anybody that doesn't know what e-sport, I'm not as familiar, it's a gaming, it's video gaming. We had 175 students participating in that. We had started to offer online fitness classes, and we had 800 community members participating in that. We also offered life-saving online and babysitting courses online. And we also offered our Junior Ravens skill development, which was delivered by our coaches and student athletes. So all of this to keep us out in front and keeping our community active. Also in May, with the death of George Floyd, universities along with many other industries were being called out on social justice, inequality, and anti-Black racism. The university president put out a strong message, a commitment to do better. He quickly promoted our Director of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusive Communities to an AVP and launched a task force to develop a strategic action plan for Carleton. The OUA, the only conference to do so, has pulled together a task force on Black Lives Matter. And Gord Grace, who's the CEO of the OUA, contacted me to be the sole athletic director representative on that task force, and their recommendations are going to the board this month. In terms of Carleton athletics, we were called out too. Our Black student athletes and alumni talked to me about systemic racism at the university as well as in the Department of Athletics. So now we are currently running anti-racism and discrimination workshops for all of our teams, staff, and coaches. And we're planning a subcommittee of our varsity council on equity, diversity, and inclusive communities to help us develop initiatives that will keep this issue in the forefront and help us address the issue in our department. And we are also very committed to doing better. And also in May, I got a phone call from the city begging and pleading for us to deliver a summer camp program. There was a lot of pressure from the provincial government at that time to get businesses back open. And so the city called us because they needed summer camps. And Carleton offers the second largest summer camp in the community. The city delivers camps to about 10,000 children, and we normally deliver a camp for about 6,000 children. and it grosses about $2 million in revenue for the department. So talking to my colleagues on a weekly basis, I understood that all of them were going to remain closed for the whole summer, not deliver any summer camp program. So we thought, you know, we can do this, and they thought we were crazy. After many sleepless nights, we launched a summer camp program. They were half days, 10 groups of 10 cohort, so 2 staff for every 8 children. And so we normally have about 800, 750 children in our doors. We had about 150 in our doors because of all the safety measures that we put in place. But it went incredibly well. Our coaches, student athletes, and summer camp staff did an exceptional job. And it was so nice to see the smiling faces of the children, because they hadn't seen other children at that time. So you can imagine they come together, they get to see and play with other children. It was really special to see. We had over 2,100 children over the summer, and not one single case of COVID-19. So we were very, very proud of that. And from this success, we submitted a protocol to open the ice house and our outdoor fields in July. The process at the university is we submit our protocols to our return to campus group, made up of a risk manager, our legal counsel, facility management planning, health and counseling, health and safety. They review our protocols. And then it goes to the university steering committee that's made up of senior management to approve. So the first to operate outside of our summer camp program was our ice house facility. And we started with 10 on the ice per ice pad, and then it moved to 15, and now we're at 25. So that's all good. And we were able to deliver now this fall 4-on-4 hockey leagues, and all of those leagues have sold out. So all of our facilities are open now. We opened the pool very minimally on August 17th. It is now fully operational. We opened the fitness center September 8th, and we're opening up the gyms to the other community members hopefully this weekend, the field house and the gymnasium. So on a little side note, I'm just going to take some water. Sorry. On a little side note, I was coming into the office one morning, and I ran into one of our patrons, and an older gentleman, and he was saying, I said, "Oh, how was your workout?" And he said, "I have to tell you, coming to athletics here in your fitness center, I feel safer here than I do at Loblaws." So that made me feel really good. But on the flip side, we also have some people challenging our protocols, and so that's been challenging on our staff. I think you've heard about people, you know, refusing to wear masks and things like that. So our staff are also dealing with the other side. For each activity in each facility, we've had a different protocol. We followed industry guidelines, provincial sport guidelines, public health, provincial legislation. Our varsity return to train protocol was approved in early August. Each sport and each team has a different protocol because it's different for every sport. And then prior to that, over the summer, the student athletes were meeting and greeting their colleagues and their coaches over Zoom. They did training over Zoom. They did film. So they were doing lots of activity over the summer. And guess who came back first? Our basketball teams. They've been in the gym since August and been training. They started with individual skills, shooting, and now the coaches are getting quite creative on what they can do, still keeping the physical distancing. So all the teams returned to train on September 8th, and so they're all back in athletics. It's so nice to see them. As you know, the OUA made the very difficult decision to cancel all fall competition in June. The RSEQ made the decision on September 14th. That means no exhibition or league play until at least December 31st. And most conferences are making a decision for winter term in early October. And I would say the OUA will probably be the first to make that decision. Their board is meeting October 1st. Canada West, it looks like October 8th. Quebec is October 15th, and Atlantic, who's doing quite well. Apparently it's one of the safest places in the world right now. They're looking to make their decision at the end of October. And so now I'd like to introduce these two to you, our student athletes that have coming to talk to you. I would like to invite Emma Huff, a student athlete on our basketball team. She's in her third year with the Ravens, pursuing her political science degree. Following Emma will be Joachim Christian. He's a member of our football team, pursuing his degree in psychology and looking to change into industrial design. So please welcome Emma and Joachim.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I also want to say thank you to everyone who took the time to come on the call this evening. As student athletes, I think it is really nice to know that we do have so much support from the Carleton community during this time. Obviously, even though we can't see you out in the gym at our games, again, it is really nice to know we have your support. So as Jennifer mentioned, we're both going to briefly speak to our experience throughout the pandemic with staying in shape, staying motivated and positive, and staying connected with our teammates. So just to start off, I would say that in terms of motivation, obviously it has been difficult. These are difficult times. And again, as Jennifer mentioned, the pandemic really got serious just after we finished competing at nationals. And obviously, we didn't get the result that we wanted. And evidently, there was a lot of work that had to be done if we wanted to, get a better result in the upcoming season. So obviously, it was an opportunity for us to get stronger, stay in shape, watch more film, get our skills tuned up. And so, yeah, it was really an opportunity for us to do that. And I would like to mention that having our teammates and our coaching staff, our athletic trainers, the athletic therapists, they were really on us during that time to stay in shape and stay accountable. Obviously we didn't know when we were going to get back, but it was important for us to have high expectations for each other in terms of being ready to go whenever we were given the chance to get back in the gym together. So in terms of staying in shape, I mean, for me personally, April and May, when things were pretty serious and shut down, it was a lot of running. It was a lot of lifting weights in my garage with my roommates. I was pretty fortunate to have a good setup to lift weights with them. And then finally, when we did have access to public courts, which were closed for a while, I was able to get out there, get shots up, and then eventually was able to start doing little individual practices with one of our assistant coaches at Lansdowne. And then I did also get in the gym. I was lucky enough to be one of the coaches for the summer camp. And so I was lucky enough to be in the gym working on skills with the kids and getting up shots as well, which was nice to shoot on a hoop that wasn't outside for once. And then, so staying in shape and staying connected, we were doing Zoom calls, Zoom workout calls with our trainer at least once a week. And he was also sending out compliance reports on every Monday to make sure that everybody was getting their stuff done and everybody knew if you weren't getting it done. So it was important for us to really stay on top of things. And also on Zoom, we spent a lot of time watching film, doing team building. As Jennifer mentioned, we have a new coach this year, so we were able to get to know Danny with the team in a team Zoom setting, but also in individual settings, watching film again, and just having individual meetings to keep us all connected during the time. And then obviously now we're back to school and we are back to training. which has been a pretty interesting transition. It's been really great to be back in the gym, of course, and back at school as well. I'm taking 5 classes this semester, so time management is going to be something I'll need to stay on top of. And I was saying I can definitely sympathize with my professors in terms of the Zoom situation when you can't see the people you're talking to. So anyways, that would be my experience. I'm going to pass it over to Joachim, and he's going to continue. Thank you again.
Hi everyone, my name is Joachim Christian. It's my second year at Carleton University, and basically my second year is studying in English because I'm from Montreal, and we only I can say speak French. So it was a challenge for me coming at Carleton, knowing that yes I can speak English, but it's not the same thing like where you I have to speak in English a lot of time to like so people can understand me and have conversation with people. But now I feel comfortable now because and the football team we help each other, so they help me with my schoolwork. Sometimes it helping me understand some words, and then yeah. But football side, I think the virus affect us a lot because we were doing pretty good during the winter practices. We were doing pretty good, and then the virus happened, so we had to like shut everything down, and then just like keep we had to shut everything, so no sport. And then that was hard for me personally because I was all in, and I had some goals that I wanted to like that's on my head. And then when that happened, I was kind of depressed a little bit because I lived with four I have 4 roommates, and they're all from Montreal, and then we all playing football. So it was hard because half of them are I can say everybody went back home to Montreal, and I was by myself here for like 2-3 months, and that was really hard. Like I tried to motivate myself every day, but it's not the same thing when you're like just you, and then try to say to keep the focus. Not the same thing. That was a challenge for me. And then after that, we all decided to come back, so we were able to go on the field, practice some technique, and correct each other, get better. And also we all played the same position, so we were able to work together. But now we're back. We're excited to be back with let's support. I think I have a question for you. I can see it. What supports are available for you? That's cool. And coaches. Well, at school we have the at school we have something that we have a place I can say that you can go there with your schoolwork, and then they help you with with the with all your mistakes from all like how I write a word and everything. They help me with that. And then at school too, I have a lot of French guy and the football team that helped me to like to be more outgoing and try to like explain myself without being shy. So they helped me with that a little bit. And then yeah, and the coaches too. The coaches that brought me to Carleton, because by the way, before that I was at the University of Montreal, and then I decided to transfer to Carleton because of the coach. Like the coach, our defensive coach, he's from Montreal, and then he's a pretty good, like he's a good person of mine. So I talked to him, and then he brought me to Carleton, and then he helps me a lot. He and the head coach Steve Samara, they helped me a lot to feel comfortable in the city and at Carleton. So yeah, but now we're back. We're able to do team workout, go on the field while respecting the distance and everything. But now I'm pretty happy that we're back now with the team and we're doing the lift and everything. I'm pretty happy.
Thank you, Joachim and Emma. That's great, giving the folks some background. Oh, geez, some background on what you're experiencing. It's so nice to see you here, and I have to say, especially for the fall sports, it's been a challenge from a motivation perspective. I'm sure, given that their season is canceled. Certainly, our winter sports are in the process of deciding, what's going to happen in the winter, but it's been very challenging. And I have to say, congratulations to our student athletes for committing to continue to train and continuing to come back to school and doing your studies and really the commitment to the program. So thank you. So now we'd like to introduce a video by one of our great grads. Matthew Sakaris has submitted a message to us. He graduated from the School of Journalism, and he hosts a very popular show on TSN 1040 in Vancouver. So I'll turn it over, and hopefully this time the technology works. So if we want to queue up that message from Matt. Thank you.
Morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you may be watching this. My name is Matt Sakaris, and I'm a Carleton University Graduate School of Journalism Mass Communications class of 2001. I host a sports talk radio show these days on TSN 1040 in Vancouver. And after 20 years away from school, I've been on campus many times, but I have officially reconnected with my alma mater, and I gotta tell you, it feels so very fulfilling. I've made a 5-year commitment to support some student athletes at Carleton University, and I encourage you to do the same. I know times are tough right now, but for those who can help, I would encourage you to step up to the plate here and support our school. You know, it's funny, I have never felt better done by my Carleton education than these days in this ever-changing world. And I know there are a lot of student athletes this year who are facing a lot of uncertainty and a lot of disappointment, not necessarily being able to play the games they love to play as often as they would like to play them in front of the people they like to play them in front of. But I would encourage all of our student athletes to take this time to hit the books first and foremost, but secondly, keep game ready. We've talked so often on my radio show about how this pandemic is going to separate those who want it from those who think they want it. It's going to test professionalism, who has used their time wisely. So I want to thank Paul Armstrong and Jennifer Brenning for getting me back and connected with my school, my alma mater. I was hoping to be there this year. Alas, the pandemic isn't going to make that so. But I look forward at the earliest opportunity to getting back on campus and cheering on the Ravens as the rest of the schools in Canada continue to fear our conspiracy. Thank you to everyone at Carleton, and have a great year.
As a great message from Matt. I had a chance to meet with Matt in December, and he was to be coming back to Carleton to be our MC for our President's Golf Tournament, which is a fundraiser for student athlete scholarship. And unfortunately, that was August, and that had to be canceled. I just thought I'd give you a little background on where we're at in terms of the department financially and in terms of our budget. So the student ancillary fees were not charged over the summer because we were not open. We will be getting 50% of the student ancillary fees for the fall and winter term. And if you understand what an ancillary service means, that means the department's responsible for all costs of the facilities as well as programs. So that's utilities, maintenance, any construction projects. We're responsible for all of that. The student ancillary fee usually makes up 38% of our revenue, and the rest of our revenue is made up through our summer camp program, adult leagues, rentals, ticket sales, sponsorship, registration for fitness classes. So that's the other portion of our revenue. With the reduction of fees, as well as our lost revenue over the spring, summer, and the right now, which we're limited in terms of what we can deliver, we will be facing a shortfall of 6 to 7 million at the end of this fiscal year. And of course, we're not alone in that. My colleagues in Ontario are facing that as well, and many, many industries are facing these kind of significant challenges. We worked really, really hard to reduce our expenses. We're down to about 70% of fixed expenses. That means our full-time staff and the operating of the facilities. And 30% of the variable costs are our part-time staff, supplies, and we've put aside money in the event we have a winter season. So let's hope. But over the past 10 years, we built a good, healthy reserve. And that reserve will help us to some degree cover off our shortfall. The reserve was actually earmarked to develop a facility. As you know, our swimming pool is at end of life. It's 50 years old. And so our reserve was really to help address our deferred maintenance. So we will be ending with a shortfall at the end of this fiscal year. However, we're really committed to supporting our students, athletes, and our community. We've reopened like no other Ontario university at this time. Our staff are on campus right now working very hard to deliver safe programs and services for the love of the sport, recreation, and what it does to lift our community. So now I'd like to oh yes, I've meant to mention. So Advancement through this season pass has launched a future funder, and that future funder is to help our student athletes. It is something that I think will be promoted after, but it is to help our student athletes face their financial challenges. We are committed to giving athletic scholarships despite a season. So regardless, if a student athlete qualifies for athletic scholarships, we will be providing those even if we don't have a competitive season in terms of games. And so I'm going to open it up now to questions and see if anybody has any questions of any of us. I think Danny Sinclair, our new women's basketball coach, is also online if you wanted to ask a question of one of our coaches. So I'll open it up.
So everyone, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, so feel free to use that to type your question. Or if you wanted to raise your hand beside your name, we can unmute you and you can ask your question live.
No questions?
You've just done such a great job, Jennifer, at informing everyone that they just have no questions left unanswered.
Well, if there's no question, I won't keep you. It is a beautiful evening here in Ottawa. I hope it's really nice where you are as well.
We do have one that came in.
Okay.
So they're asking if the basketball teams are still operating in a bubble.
I'll ask Emma to respond.
Okay, so yes, we are, we come into practice every day. There are protocols. We have to fill out like a questionnaire, a screening every single day. So you fill that out before you come to the gym. We all have to come in wearing a mask. We get our temperature taken and sanitized, and then we head into the gym. And then we have to keep our mask on until we're starting practice. And then it's just us in the gym. We are to be keeping socially distanced during the drills. We are obviously not doing any contact right now. So yeah, it's a lot of skill work, a lot of spacing on offense. It's a lot of, just stuff like that. So yes, essentially we are in a bubble.
So we've got a couple of questions here. I'll ask Jeff's question, and then Jose has his hand raised. So Jeff has a question for Danny. Danny, if you can hear us and you're on the call, I'll ask the question and you can unmute yourself and answer if you'd like. So he is asking, with no high school basketball expected this year, how difficult will it make it for you to recruit new players, and what's your plan for recruiting?
Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. Thanks for that question. It is challenging. We have typically with recruiting, we try to look 2 to 3 years ahead, especially with top level players. So we do have a sense, we have our top 20 to 30 athletes that we've already seen them play significant amounts and know that we are interested. It's a little more challenging for athletes that we haven't seen or that are contacting us right now. They're trying to send us video, but often it's not recent video. So it's a challenge, but we feel like for this year we'll be okay. It's probably a bit more of a challenge for the athletes than the teams, to be honest.
All right, thank you, Danny. Jose, I'm going to turn on your mic, so just give me a second here. All right, Jose, you are on. If you want to ask oh, you're not on, hold on. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, it's on my side. Hey, everyone. Just a little bit different angle. And both Joachim and Emma could probably give answers to this. But in terms of what's happened over the summer with Black Lives Matter and kind of the racial focus that's come about over the summer, what have your teams been doing in terms of kind of addressing that as like between players and the coaches? So you both answer that because they probably have different perspectives.
I guess I'll go first. Is that okay with you, Joachim?
Yeah, it's fine.
So for us, I think something that was really impactful that Danny led for us during the summer was we had a Zoom call, and she just basically gave the floor to our teammates that are people of color. We do have a pretty diverse team, I would say, and she just kind of allowed them to kind of give their experience with what was going on and just some perspective for the rest of us. And I think it was a pretty bonding kind of situation for us. And obviously we have participated already in the anti-racism workshop, and also we did attend, as Jennifer mentioned, the OUA panel that was put together. They held a town hall, which we all participated in. That was about a month ago now, I would say. So we've definitely been actively involved in trying to, do better. So I'll hand that over to Joachim. Oh.
You done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, on the football side, it was all of us, we were all together and we are fighting that case together. And we're on every social media, because I think everybody have a social media, so we were able to share the information so we can all do better and try to make a change. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have some more questions here. We have one about eligibility. So what does the cancellation of the football season affect? How does the cancellation of the football season affect eligibility?
So eligibility is charged when they actually play a game, so they won't be charged a year of eligibility. And in the case of football that actually had an age, it's the only sport in youth sport that has an age cap. They actually allowed 1 year where they would not apply that age cap. So the student athletes will not be charged a year of eligibility. Although what we've, in order to qualify for an AFA, they have to be on an eligibility certificate this year, meet all the requirements to qualify for an AFA, but they won't be charged eligibility. We are going to be producing rosters and eligibility certificates, and only to help track the student athletes, because they're also here training. There's a risk. We need to know who's training, and so it tracks who's on campus and who's done all the paperwork, the waiver signing, the health checks, and all of those things. So we're still implementing everything like a normal season, but they won't be charged a year.
Thank you. The next one is there a risk that some programs will get cut?
So right now, you know, we're not looking to cut anything. But like everything, I would say, and I'm not trying to be fearful or anything, my hope is that we're back in 21, 22. If not, then I think we're having a bigger financial issue. And so, you know, I'm going to have an optimistic viewpoint that we're back in 21, 22, so that won't be the case. So.
Thank you. We have a few more here. Is there a confirmed date for non-varsity sports to begin practices, i.e. swimming? Also, with the current circumstances, has this further delayed the potential of a new pool, which I think you spoke about earlier? But I'll let you answer the first section.
Yeah, I didn't catch the second, Kim, but the first question around our competitive club sports, and we have 15 of those actually. We've asked them all to submit their return to train protocols. And so once we have those, they will be able to come back. So they'll be reviewed like all of the other sports. We know that some of our competitive clubs are out in the field somewhere off campus, and we know that. But what we've asked is that they follow all the guidelines that we have for our varsity teams and submit those so we can review them. And every provincial sport organization has their guidelines outlined based on provincial legislation. So once swimming gets their protocols in, they'll be back in the pool swimming. So is the second part of that question, Kim?
The second part was, with the current circumstances, has it further delayed the potential for a new pool?
Yes. Well, there's two things. One, we had submitted for a grant application. There was an infrastructure funding that was available. It's a provincial federal funding envelope for recreational facilities. We did not receive that funding. It was certainly what they decided to do with that funding. It went to smaller projects. So they gave more money to a bunch of smaller projects. So the City of Ottawa actually got recommended for 3, but they're small. And no university in Ontario got the funding through the infrastructure. So that was disappointing, but at the same time, the pool and the wellness hub is a priority of the university. It's just, you know, now it's a matter of funding. And with this current climate, so I would say it will be delayed because we need to find the funding for it. But it is, the president has made a commitment that the wellness hub, including the aquatic facility, is a university priority.
And David Whitfield has the $1 million question. So how realistic is it to look forward to winter sports programs beginning in January?
okay, this is where I'm not going to be as optimistic. I'm sorry, Danny and Emma, but you know, the climate right now and what we're seeing with the pandemic and the second wave, I mean, I think Ottawa has become a hot spot all of a sudden, and we were really good in the spring. We had 93 positive cases yesterday. We're up over 550 cases, active cases in Ottawa, and I think Toronto is in the same situation. Windsor is in the same situation. Many of my colleagues have not even been able to open their facilities, and so they're still closed. And so if this doesn't turn around, I don't see how we can deliver sport in January. My hope really now is to focus on 2021 and really find a way to deliver sport in 2021. But that's where the OUA is looking to make that decision early October. And so given the current situation, I don't see how they can make a different decision. Carleton and like many other Ontario universities have gone all again online for winter terms. So that sends a signal that the universities have gone online for winter terms. So, you know, this is the same story we heard in the fall, in June. This is how it all unfolded. So anyway, I hope that answered your question, David.
And we are all done with questions, Jennifer, so I will leave it to you to wrap things up.
Again, I would really like to thank all of you for attending. It's a beautiful evening in Ottawa, and I understand the Prime Minister announced something at 6:30, and I missed that, but it was a sudden something, so I'm assuming he's talking about the second wave. So I really appreciate you attending, and I know these virtual, there's many virtual meetings and programs and events, so I do appreciate you taking the time to join us. And I want to thank our two student athletes as well, Joachim and Emma, for joining me and helping me tonight. So I really appreciate that. And thank you very much for all joining us. So stay tuned for Future Funder Season Pass, and as well, there is Giving Tuesday. The university is committed to launch Giving Tuesday again December 1st, as I believe. So, and thank you very much. Support comes in many different ways. There's lots of hardships out there right now, so I really recognize that. Helping our student athletes through a mentorship program, coming on calls like this, supporting the coaches behind the scenes, giving them a pat on the back, even helping our student athletes find jobs or connecting in the industries that they're studying goes a long way. So any way you can help, we very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I think that's the end of this evening. Thank you.